Hello everyone, my name's John, I'm the Geeky Fanboy, welcome back to my channel, and today we're finally doing another book rant. We're doing another popular Romantasy book, because shout out to Honestly Sophie here, to my fellow German-speaking booktuber. She recently reviewed the newest Alex Aster novel over on her channel. It's a very funny review. Go and watch it if you haven't seen it yet. And that's how I was made aware. Oh, hey, Alex Aster published a new book. And I also saw it the following day at my local bookshop. I took one look at the cover, which I'm gonna put on screen right now, and I immediately was like, wow, this looks bad. Like, without even reading it, already the cover, I was like, this looks bad. Like, can we talk about the cover for a second? Like, no, it looks so cliche. First of all, like with the sword in the middle, and there's like sparkle stuff, and it looks like any other romantasy cover or fantasy cover. And then the fonts, because it's two different fonts on the cover, which bothers me. They are so they do not suit the cover at all. It looks shit. It just looks cheap. I don't know how else to describe it. I just really don't like how this cover looks. But yeah, I saw this and watched a bit of Honestly Sophie's review, and I was like, it can't be it can't be that bad, right? Like, it can't be any worse than Light Lark, which we've also read on the channel, which is the book Alex Aster is probably the most known for. I'm gonna link the review somewhere so you can watch it. And out of sheer curiosity, I was like, okay, let's take a look at Starside. So I just started reading it for fun, which is also why this won't probably be as in depth and super detailed as my other deep dive reviews, where I like go chapter by chapter, line by line, and quote some stuff, because I really just read this on a whim without taking notes. But the further I got, the more I was fascinated by this book's stupidity. So now we're here, and I just have to talk about this book because it's so ridiculously dumb, cliched, stereotype copy pasted, romantasy slop of all time. So, in case it wasn't clear from my tone of voice from the past like 2 minutes, this is going to be super negative. This is going to be a rant review. I'm gonna make fun of this book a lot. If you like Alex Aster, if you like this book, maybe don't watch this. I don't know, or at least have an open mind. I'm gonna be very biased against this book. Like, sure, I go into books like this still wanting to be positively surprised. Like, I do want to give books like this a chance, but I'm also gonna be fully honest and be like, and tell you, I did not expect this to be good. Like, I'm always open to be surprised, but I wasn't counting on it with this. So, Starside by Alex Aster is her newest book, and it's actually her first adult fantasy book. So no more YA, no more light lark baby nonsense. No, this is her first super duper serious adult romantasy book. So, what is the premise of Starside? The premise of Starside is that every 50 years, there is a deadly game where people are fighting for gaining access to magic. So the world is split in two. It's split into Stormside and Starside. Stormside's where the humans live. Starside is where the gods and the immortals live. And this is where the magic is in Starside. So every 50 years, the gates to Starside are open and 50 people are allowed through for a chance to bring back a cup of magic. And magic does whatever it actually needs to do. It's like a MacGuffin sort of thing. And we have our main character, Aris, who is around 20 years old, and she wants to take part in this deadly game because she wants to kill the gods, because the gods are responsible for her family dying. So she doesn't even want to get the magic, she just wants to get to the land of the gods to kill them. Along the way, she has to fight a bunch of people, maybe make some friends, and of course, there's a dark and brooding man who is her enemy that she's maybe also falls in love with, and that's that. You've heard this kind of thing before. And you might think, deadly games every 50 years. Didn't Alex Aster already do this with Lightlock? Yeah, yeah. Like there are a lot of similarities to Lightlock in this book. Like some people even said that Starside reads like Lightlock fan fiction, and I can see why they might say that. So the way we're gonna do this is I'm gonna try and recap the story as best I can from what I remember, and just tell you what happens in the book, and I tell you what stupid things happen and what my thoughts are on them, and then I'll talk about some more of my thoughts in detail after that as we go. This is not going to be as structured as my other in-depth reviews. This is really just me ranting to you for fun about this really stupid book that I read fully voluntarily. So let's talk about Starside. So, Starside, like I said, is Alex Aster's first adult romantasy book. You wouldn't really be able to tell, because based on the writing style, this reads exactly the same as Lightlock. This reads exactly the same. Even like the main character is around the same age that Isla was in Lightlock, I think, because Isla was also like around 19 or 20 years old. This main character is 20 years old. Every other character we meet is basically in their 20s, even though there aren't really that many important characters. Um, the writing style is still just as juvenile. The only difference really is with as it is with so many other books that try to be adult in this genre, the characters swear a lot. Like the word fuck gets used around 220 times. Like I counted. That's how many times characters say the word fuck in this book. Plus, like, probably at least 100 times the word shit, and just like so much unnecessary repetitive swearing where you can tell, oh yeah, this is really what Aster thought would make this adult. Then there's now explicit spice. There's gonna be a sex scene in this book, which is way too long. It's like 15 pages long. That, and that's sort of it. Yeah, there's like a bit more on-page violence, but it's not gratuitous or anything. Nothing we haven't really seen in Lightlock either. So, yeah, there isn't really a difference based on the writing style. And I'm actually going to prove this to you just by reading the opening page to you, just so you get a feel of what this book is like. And also because I already need to complain about the opening of this book. This will kill me. My sweaty palm curves around my dagger as I weave through the crowd of spectators. My blade is hidden up my sleeve, the sparkling metal cold against my pulse. One wrong move and I'll stab myself, but it's better than having my weapon noticed this far from the front. I lift to my toes to gauge my distance, and there it is, the platform, a massive stone the size of a stage, black rock speckled with silver like a fallen slab of night. It's beautiful, one of the last remaining shreds of magic on this side of a land halved. Soon it will be covered in blood. Hundreds have traveled from every corner of Stormside, armed with the best metals and years of elite training, to fight for a place on that platform. Thousands have risked their lives traveling down barren roads just to watch. The quest only happens every 50 years. 50 of us mortals will be allowed past the gates, into the land of the immortals, to undergo a deadly journey. Only a handful ever return. Most are killed by legendary beasts or the ruthless immortals themselves. But the price at the end of the quest is worth the risk. A goblet full of something that can turn miles of ash to fertile plains, summon storms of the years of drought, cure any disease, grant power or wealth, or even immortality. Magic. Like, this is literally the opening to this book. And this book does what so many other, like, popular or, like, recent books do that I hate. It throws you straight into the premise. There is no, like, there is no rising action. There's no there's no attempt at like actually like setting up the world, setting up the characters before we actually get to what the story is. No, we're immediately thrown in. We're immediately at the beginning of where Aris has to kill a bunch of people in order to gain entrance to the quest roll. That like I don't know who she is. I don't know this world yet. I don't know where we are. I don't know what's going on. It's just immediately we're there. Murder is gonna happen. Oh, and by the way, here is a bunch of immediate world building info dumping. Just so you know immediately what's going on. Because God forbid you might have to read a chapter or two to actually get to the point of a story. I don't like that books keep doing this. It's like this all the time. It was the same in Lightlock where we're immediately thrown into Isla having to prepare for the deadly games and she goes off. Uh, or in Fourth Wing where Violet is immediately like thrown in. She's on the day where she has to get ready to go to the deadly school of dragon death. We don't even get to hear about her life previous to that. I don't like this. Like I always cite Hunger Games as an example for this because it's so good at this. Like Hunger Games makes sure it sets up Katniss as a character and the world she lives in before we get to the reaping. Like we know who Katniss is before that. We know her family life. We know the district. We know who she is as a person. We get a bit of flavor text that tells us who she is, so that we actually care for her, so that we understand, so that we have context when we get to the reaping and she volunteers for her sister. That's good build up. Books like this don't do this anymore. It's like we're immediately thrown in, and the book expects you to just go with it and to immediately care. And I'm like, I don't. I don't even know who this is. Who is telling me this? And of course, immediately with like the world building, info dumping, like the quest roll every 50 years and all that, with the worlds they're halved, and on the other side there's magic. It's like literally the opening page because we have to make sure we don't lose the reader's attention. We have to like literally grab it on the first page because God forbid you actually have to read a bit to understand what's going on. And I think you can already tell with the writing style, it's it's like any other book in this genre recently, or any other Alex Aster book. It feels like very contemporary. It feels very fluid, not like in a way that it's good to read, but like it feels very nonchalant and not like adult in any way, shape, or form. Aster in general just has a bad writing style. Um, like I'm just gonna say this in the beginning. Aster, this book feels like it's written worse than Lightlark. Like seriously, there are so many. I'm going to refer to my own Goodreads review because I already wrote down some of this stuff. Like the writing style is just abysmal. Like the not only will we get to the pacing is absolutely awful, but like just the way she writes, like there's no emotional connection to anything. We're just spoon fed everything, but without any emotional attachment. And then there are so many unnecessary repetitions of words, like I said, like with the swear words, but also like information will be given two, three, four, 5 times, sometimes even like right one after another. And the same goes for like sentence structure. Like within this same chapter, there's a paragraph that is so badly written because it uses the same phrases to start sentences several times. And it reads in such a boring way. So I'm just gonna read like this little part to you. So it's like Aris on her way to like fighting her way through the platform, and she sees like an intimidating looking guy. The man smirks, taking his time to look me over, his gaze snagging on my clothing. He must be wondering why I'm wearing long sleeves and fabric up to my chin in scorching heat. He must be noticing the clear lack of scabbard and baldric. He frowns when he reaches my worn boots, the fabric shrunken and split. The people to his left and right turn back around, already uninterested. She literally starts two sentences in a row with "he must," and in the sentence after also again with "he verb." It's like there's no flavor in these sentence structures. The sentence structure in general in this is either so many run-on sentences where it just feels like the sentences never end. which is also what makes it so difficult to sometimes follow what's actually going on or where we are, because the run-on sentences throw in so much information in such a nonchalant way where you're like, oh, hang on, how did we even get there? But then at the same time, sometimes sentences are like split up in a way that didn't make sense, where I'm like, just combine them. Like, there's so many sentences that start with and I know I'm not like hardcore on this rule that you should never start a sentence with and, but you shouldn't do it too often. And it happens all the time. Or like two short sentences where I'm like, just put them together, combine them, anything. Just make the writing style actually sort of interesting. Put in some differences in your sentence structure, like Aster, like anything. This book hasn't been edited, by the way. You will be able to tell, and we'll get to that point. Why I'm pretty sure this wasn't edited later on. So Aris is right there, like she has to make her way to the platform. This is not the deadly game that we're already talking about. This is not the Questral. This is the deadly trial before we get to the deadly trial, before we get to the deadly trial that is the Questral. We're literally doing several deadly trials before we even get to the main story. So now Aris has to fight her way through the platform. Aris is small. Of course she is. She's small. She is petite. She has a little dagger that she's gonna use. And she might not be as physically strong, but she is small, therefore she is fast, which is a completely stupid logic that I already told you in the Fourth Wing review does not work like that at all. That's not how small people work. That just don't. And in this chapter, we're introduced to how the metals work in this world, because metals are like, and swords are sort of like the magical hierarchy in this world. So Aster, continued from Lightlock, doesn't understand how metals work. Like, I'm not a blacksmith. I don't know anything about sword making or anything. I was really bad in chemistry. I don't know shit about stuff like this. But even I know gold is not a good metal for armor and swords. And still, yet again, like in Lightlock, there is a person in this book who is wearing armor made out of gold. And yet again, Aster tries to convince me that yes, an armor made out of gold is good, it's durable, it's valuable, it's strong. I'm like, no! Gold is such a heavy and dense and soft metal. Why would anyone make suits of armor or even swords out of this? It's literally the worst idea you could have. And yet, within this, because there is like a metal hierarchy, so there's certain metals that are considered better than others in their properties and how they work and stuff. Gold is pretty high. Gold is considered to be really, really good, and I'm like, not how this works. Then we have people who use like iron and bronze swords still, which are like pretty low in the hierarchy. And I'm wondering, how are we still even making bronze swords? Are we like in the Bronze Age still at this point? But here's the thing. Within like this hierarchy, like of the I'm gonna say like the mortal metals, because there's also like magic metal later introduced, because of course, in this hierarchy, Aris uses a dagger made out of titanium, which, yeah, you can make blades out of. Like, not the best metal to use, but I think that's something you can use. Titanium is not the best metal. She fights someone in this chapter who has a blade made out of silver. And silver is considered to be the best metal. Like the strongest, most durable metal for blades. It's considered to be better for blades than literal titanium. that's not how any of that works. I mean, sure, like I Googled a little bit, like sure you can make swords out of silver, but they're not gonna be that good. They're gonna be like more decorative and they're not gonna be that sharp. Like, silver is not a good idea either. And yet the book expects to be like, oh yeah, silver, really good metal for blades, better than literal titanium. It doesn't make sense. Like, did Alex Aster not at any point since writing Lightlog Google how metals work? Like, it takes you like 5 minutes to figure this shit out. Literally every person knows gold is a soft and heavy metal. Imagine wearing an entire armor made out of that shit. You are not gonna move anywhere and you're gonna get stabbed immediately. What is this bullshit? This metal hierarchy is only gonna really be important for like the first third of the book anyway. Because later we get to the point, but like obviously Aris later on finds like a super duper cool magic metal blade, and then all the metal hierarchy doesn't really matter anyway. But for like the first quarter of this book, it's really important, and it's bullshit how it works. So Aris, of course, somehow manages to reach the stone platform, which means that she doesn't get to take part in the quest roll yet. It just means that she gets to take part in the next fight to the death that will determine who gets to enter the next big deadly trial. So, just checking it. So Aris wins this fight, and she, I think in like the following chapter, she like goes home. She talks about like in her narration, she talks about that she wants to kill the gods because the gods are responsible for the death of her family. And she talks about that she was raised by a man named Stellan, who I the whole time imagined as Stellan Skarsgård, to be honest. And Stellan actually, like, he's a blacksmith. He took her in after her family died, and he raised her and he taught her how to make blades and how to use them. Will this be relevant? No. Should it be relevant? Yes. So Stellan actually previously won a quest roll. He didn't manage to bring like actual magic back, but he like successfully went to the land of the gods and returned. But when Aris asks him like to tell her anything about it, he refuses and just tells her, yeah, no, don't do it. It's a bad idea. We're in chapter 2 when this happens, and Aris like upset, like goes somewhere to like go gather her stuff and reflect on things that have been going on, and then she comes back to the house, and Stellan is dying, and Stellan's death scene is written in the most hilarious way possible. Like, I kid you not, I laughed out loud as I read it, and I have to read this to you because oh my god. Okay, so this is the scene. Aris comes home. He's dying, and he wants her, in order for him to have like an honorable death, he wants her to stab him. He doesn't answer. All he does is curl my fingers around my dagger. All he does is drag both of our hands towards his heart. His eyes are pleading. Kill me, he says, choking on the words. Then there's like a paragraph of her reminiscing on her time with him. I can't, I say, tears blurring my vision. Fool, he says, and then he dies. That's it! That's literally it! That's the death description you get for the mentor character. Like, excuse me, but this is hilarious. Like, this is fucking hilarious. It's just, and then he dies. I feel like this should be a meme. This is ridiculous. Like, that's it. We don't really get anything else. It's just like that Aris stays with the body for a moment, And that's it. The mentor character who we literally just met a scene ago is dead. And we're supposed to care. Like, I don't know who this guy is. We just met him. He told us nothing. And then he dies. Fucking hell. So dumb. So stupid. But moving on from that, Aris packs her stuff and she now has to travel to a different part of the country where the next deadly trials will take place. And she has a card, and she actually picks up some other people who are also going on this deadly trial. The only two important people here are Ginger Woman and X-Man. I do not remember their names. They will be relevant for like 10 chapters of this story. Ginger Woman is basically kind of like Katniss. She gets her hair braided and she tells Aris that she has a sister who's sick, who she's doing all of this for, that she wants the magic for. And X-Man, he has like a big axe made of a stupid metal, and it's embroidered with like jewels and diamonds on the blade, and that's somehow supposed to make the blade even better and cooler. Again, that's not how weapons work. And he's like he's the son of like a big important house, but like the land around his castle is like dying, and he wants to bring the magic back to his place to like make the countryside flourish again. So they travel to this next place where they need to go, and they arrive like in a forest, I think, and then there's like a guy who's like sent from the king, and he says that there's only like 150 horses here that can take you to the king, and then another fight to the death ensues. I don't really know why. That's just how it is. Um, like Aris saves Ginger Woman, even though Aris at some point says, I will not be bothering to save anyone ever again. She will do it. She does it literally in this chapter, and then she will go on to do it several more times. And then she sees I think she's also seen him already along the travels. There's like the knight of the King's Guard, who is of course like this giant man. We never see his face. He's called Raker. Well, he's called Harlan Raker. I hate this name so much. It's so stupid. And he's like a big, brute, intimidating guy. Guess who the love interest is? This is already where I get a hint of him that he's already there, and he killed some people in this skirmish. And he actually demonstrates that he has like a really big, cool magic blade that he can use like Thor's hammer. He can like throw it and like summon it back to him. That's the amount of sword magic we'll get, by the way. So all the survivors go to the king's castle. They all get like some new clothes. We actually find out that Aris has like silver markings on her body, very K-pop Demon Hunters coded. We don't find out how she got these silver markings, why she has them, until way later in the book. But we just know that she has them. She wants to keep them a secret because they're silver, and silver is the color of the gods. And I don't know, she doesn't want anyone to know about it. So they go meet the king, and at the king's banquet, the king offers everyone silver swords. Like, silver swords are like super good, right? Remember? And he's like, well, anyone who wants can have a silver sword, but in return you have to give some of the magic. Should you win any of the magic, you have to give it to me. And of course almost everyone takes the deal, because why wouldn't you? You literally get one of the best blades of all time. And after that, like in the middle of the night, Aris like sneaks out to find out about some stuff, and of course she runs into Raker. And he's like really tall, dark, and intimidating, and He literally says, the next time I see you, I will kill you. Guess what doesn't happen the next time he sees her? And any time after that. He's just brooding. That's all he is. He's just like brooding, and he's like, I will kill you. That's him. That's the whole character. Okay, so after they like have to like go to where the Questral will take place, where the gates to Starside, to the country of the gods, where it will open. So on her way there, they are at like a graveyard. I think it's like a graveyard of swords, and that's where Aris has an encounter with like I guess the antagonist of the book. He's called Kadok. He's basically like Jack Barlow from Fourth Wing. He's an unnecessarily mean antagonist who hates our main character for no real reason. He's cruel for no real reason. He's just here to be an asshole. And of course, he threatens to kill her, and he's like, yeah. And I think he also is responsible for killing Stellan. It's stupid. There's no reason for it. This man is not a character. And he's about to kill Aris, and in that moment, Aris tries to like call out for a blade because she's like in the graveyard of swords, and she knows that if you're powerful enough, or if there's a blade that wants to claim you, it will come to you. So she calls out for a blade, and of course, literally one of the best blades of all time flies into her hands. It's a blade made out of, I think it is called Starside metal, which is like the best, the super duper coolest magic metal of all time. So this is where the metal hierarchy from earlier basically becomes irrelevant, because Aris now has the best sword of all time anyway, that can beat all the other swords. So they travel to the gates. Guess what they have to cross in order to get to the gates? They have to cross a narrow parapet. Fourth Wing. If you're already thinking, wow, there's a lot of stuff from other books in this, yes. I don't like saying this, but this is literary incest. That's what this book is. We'll come back to it. There's so much more in this. So, Aris, along with Raker, Ginger Woman, an X-Man, and a bunch of other people, 50 people, managed to cross through the gates to the land of the gods. This is where the true Questral now begins. And you would think there's no reason to kill each other anymore after this. There wasn't really reason for any of this beforehand, because there are rules in place that don't make sense. Like, the Questral is said to take place every 50 years. Why? Like, I guess because the gates open every 50 years. But why do the gates to Starset open every 50 years? What's the reason for that? We don't know. Who decided that that only 50 people can go to the land of the gods? Who decided that? Is there a rule for it? What will the magic gate only let 50 people through? Why? And if it's not the magic, then who decided this? For what reason? There's no reason to limit the amount of people that can go through. Don't you want as many people to be able to get magic? Like, the entire country, the human country, needs magic. Because the human country kind of sucks. You should give so many people the opportunity. The more people you get over there, the more people could potentially come back with magic. Why limit the amount of people? And why? Because spoiler, but at the end, there's multiple people who can get magic. It's not just one person who can go and get a cup of magic. Multiple people can go and get a cup of magic. So why limit the amount of people? Why? And why do they all immediately still start going against each other as soon as they cross over into the god world? You would think, wouldn't it make so much more sense to work together because you all have the same goal? No. Immediately people scatter, small groups form, people still fight each other to the death. No reason, they just do. So, Aris is now with Ginger Woman and X-Man. Man. So they go to they. I think X-Men has a map. I'm not. Do they find the map? Do they get a map? I don't even quite remember. But there is they like travel to a place where they meet an immortal, and it's called the Tower of Knowledge. Like the three of them meet an immortal, and he takes them to the Tower of Knowledge. What the Tower of Knowledge looks like, sort of cone shaped, cylindrical. That's all I got for you, really. So here it is. This is the first time we meet an immortal. This is the first time we encounter a big significant building in the world of the immortals and the gods. The Tower of Knowledge. Here is the description. I wonder what would happen. How hard is their skin? How are immortals killed? I want to ask my own questions, but I stay silent. Then a great cone-shaped tower comes into view, the size of a mountain. It's the tallest building I have ever seen. That's it. That's all we're getting. It's a cone-shaped giant building. What the size of a mountain is vague. Mountains can be like this, mountains can be like this, mountains can be like this. They're different sized mountains, and we don't know what the previous tallest building is that ours has ever seen. I'm just imagining a cone with windows now. It's a cone with windows. I will probably come back to this later, but Alex Aster is shit at describing stuff, which might be due to the fact that she once said that she can't imagine things in her mind. You can tell, because I don't know what anything looks like. So they travel to the Tower of Knowledge with the Immortals. They stay there. The Immortals want to study them. Then, of course, in the middle of the night, Iris has to wake up. She has to go and look for shit secretly. I think that's where they might find the map. I'm not sure. But of course, she happens to overhear that the Immortals actually plan on dissecting them alive. So, of course, they have to make a run for it. And they do. They eventually encounter, I think, a nice immortal woman who gives them shelter and food and stuff, and she sends them down a river on a magic boat. The boat is super great. It literally cannot tip over. It's like a cool, great magic boat. But of course, they still, I don't know if they go down some rapids or something, and immediately they're thrown all about the place. Everything they have on their boat gets thrown around. Apparently, no one thought it was a good idea to keep stuff on a boat in place so it doesn't tumble over as soon as there's a little wave. Ginger Girl gets thrown, her sword gets thrown overboard, but she really wants to keep that sword, so she goes in after it. And she gets massively injured. Of course, she keeps it a secret. Hours later finds out that Ginger Woman is hurt. Her entire leg is completely crushed and almost ripped off. But apparently, Ginger Woman was able to keep this a secret for 8 or 10, 12 hours until everybody else noticed. So they are actually on their way to the beast tree because they've heard there are magical beasts in the magic country, and if you are able to claim a beast, maybe you're able to actually fly straight to where the magic is, and that would make it go way faster. But now with Ginger Woman hurt, they actually decide to, so Aris and X-Man decide to go on by themselves because they made a promise that if someone gets hurt, you have to leave them behind. So they leave Ginger Woman on the boat and say, go sail back to the nice immortal woman and we'll pick you up there, make it. And Ginger Woman is tells Aris, please bring back a cup of magic for my sister, promise me. And of course Aris is yeah, I promise. And they send Ginger Girl away. She will not be in any other parts of the book. This is where we say goodbye to Ginger Girl. Spoiler, she gets killed off screen by the bad guy. Oh Again, this is sort of like the book is. The book wants me to care. I don't. We spend like 5, 6 chapters with these characters. That's it. I don't really know anything about them apart from like the very superficial motivation for why they're here. It's not like Aris gives a fuck about them that much. I just do not care. So, Aris and X-Men, they travel to the beast tree and they climb it. And in order to claim a beast, you have to jump off the tree, which is of course like super tall, and hope that a creature will pick you up. And that's how you claim a beast. Bad guy Kadok is also there. Of course, he has claimed a beast. A fight ensues. X-Man gets injured. I think he might get thrown off the tree, or I don't know, something. Aris has to abandon him. This is where we say goodbye to X-Man. Just like that. And Aris throws herself off the beast tree, and a dragon picks her up. Because, of course, there's fucking dragons in this book. And this is where unfortunately, my fourth wing alarm bells go off again, because this is a smaller dragon with a disabled wing, and it's not gold, it's a silver dragon. And it claims our main character. It's so similar to Fourth Wing, it's insane. However, this dragon does not have any special power. It does not have a magic telepathic bond with Aris. It's not like I can't believe I'm about to praise Fourth Wing. In Fourth Wing, the dragons can at least talk. They have like conversations with our main characters, and they do have like a little bit of personality at least, even though it's not much. In this, nothing. No mental connection. We don't know anything about this dragon. Somehow Aris just knows by looking at the dragon that this dragon has to be a girl. She just knows. They fly throughout the entire night, like more than 12 hours or something. They fly an entire day. Aris on the back of this dragon. Don't know how she's holding on or how this is happening for almost an entire day, but that's what happens. Then they finally land. Aris, like, trains with the dragon, like, because she has this new cool badass sword, but this sword is so big and heavy and badass she can't even properly lift it or fight with it. Like, every time from now on Aris picks up this sword and tries to fight with it, we have to mention just how big and heavy the sword is, that she can't even properly lift it and use it. First off, how that's just not, like, I get that bigger swords might be heavier, but come on, girl, lift the fucking sword. Do I have to remind you, she was literally raised by a blacksmith to handle weapons, to make swords, and how to fight with them. How is she having this much trouble lifting and properly using a blade? Doesn't make sense. Of course, their little friendship bonding stuff gets interrupted by evil man Kadok, who attacks them, and Aris, recognizing that Batman is after her, not her dragon, tells her dragon, "No, go, flee, he's after me, I'll see you later," and sends off her dragon. That's where we lose the dragon for the rest of the book. Yep. We spend one singular chapter with this stupid ass dragon, and this book dares to advertise itself as a dragon book. Aris, throughout the book, will go on and she will be like, "Oh, I remember my dragon, I wonder how she's doing. Oh, and I wonder how my dragon is. Oh, I have such a big bond with her." And you're like, we spent one chapter with this dragon. You spent one day with this dragon. There's no connection. There's nothing. The dragon is a glorialized traveling vehicle. That's all the dragon is. Like, this literally feels like Aster only threw dragons in here because they're currently very popular. So let's have a dragon, even though it's not relevant to the story at all. The dragon is also like the only magical creature we really encounter where I know what it is. Like, we're gonna meet in the next few chapters. There's gonna be like a bunch of encounters with other magical beasts and other magical creatures. Asta really likes to use the word creature in this book. She uses the word creature for anything. And I guarantee you, I don't know what any of the other creatures look like. Nothing. There's this description problem again that Asta has, where I don't know what anything looks like. I could not describe to you what these evil creatures look like. We get like, the closest we get is that later we get a zombie bear. Like a magic zombie bear. That's all we get. Apart from that, it's like the creature, if we get any description, it's described as something like that's it has a very skeletal structure with something like thrown over it that makes it look creepy. And you're like, is it does it have four legs? Is it bipedal? Does it resemble an animal that Aris might know about? Does it resemble, is it a humanoid creature? Does it have wings? Does it have scales? Anything. Just give me anything so I can imagine something. Like, it's like Aster expects you to do the heavy lifting for her. It's like she expects you to imagine everything for her. And I'm like, no, that's your job as the literal author of this new magical world that I do not know about. It's your job to tell me what it looks like so I can have the little movie thing going on in my head. Like, I understand that descriptions aren't for every author, and it can also go overboard if you include too many detailed descriptions of anything. But Aster is giving you nothing, nothing. Like, the only thing when we go to places, the only things I know is that like we're in a forest, we're in a nice looking castle building, or we're in a desert, or we're in a cave with a waterfall. That's it. That's all I ever know. There's never an attempt made to create world building via descriptions. There's never an attempt made to actually set the scene for you as a reader. There's no attempt made to describe like architectural differences in the buildings of the immortals or something that Aris visits throughout the story. Nothing. It all looks the same in my head because there are no descriptions. I'm just imagining basic ass fantasy 101 stuff because I'm given absolutely nothing to work with. And this is the point in the story where now the book decides Aris has to spend time with the male love interest, Harlan Raker. I hate this name because it makes me think of the Harlem Shake because it sounds so similar and I had to laugh every time I read his full name. So Aris goes to like a cave to look for shelter, and I think that's where she encounters Raker. And from then on, it's only these two. For like the rest of the book, we're like, I think this is around like chapter 13, 14. This is why it's only these two from now on. Forget Ginger Woman, forget X-Men, forget Caddock or anyone. They're barely even characters. It's now the Aris and Raker show for the entire rest of the book. It's just the two of them. And oh boy, is it gonna be repetitive and boring as fuck. So Reika decides to keep Aris around because Aris, of course, remembered the map that they had earlier. She took a look at it for like a few minutes and she has memorized the entire map. And now she destroys it and is like, well, Reika, now you have to keep me around because I know where we need to go. And that's the reason for why he's keeping her around now. Oh, of course, there's now gonna be a bunch of like villains to lovers banter, enemies to lovers banter. Remember, Raker said the previous few times that next time he's gonna see her, he will murder her. This has unfortunately not yet happened. And all their conversations from now on will just something be along the lines of that Raker is unnecessarily hostile. He just tells her to shut up, to go away, to leave him alone, tells her that she's trouble, which, to be fair, she is all the time. And she tells him that he's mean, that he's broody, and that she hates him. Why she hates him is a little bit hinted at, but we don't really know it yet for like a large part of the book. It will be sort of explained later. Why he hates her, not explained. Not a reason. Reika has no direct, personal, or whatever reason to hate her. This is supposed to be enemies to lovers. And yet again, the enemies feel fake because they're literally gonna work together from now on for the next, like, how many percent? For like the next 85% of the book. They are allies. He didn't even try to kill her previously. Even after he said, the next time I will see you, I will kill you. Did not happen. Did not happen. We don't know why she hates him. He doesn't really have a reason to dislike her. They're just reluctant allies from now on. They will help each other. He will save her so many times, even though he really doesn't have to. She sometimes will save him, but most of the time she will get saved by him. And that's it. That's the chemistry from now on. And now comes the most repetitive bullshit part of this entire book, because the next like almost 30 chapters is the same thing over and over and over again. They will travel. They will get attacked by random creatures. Reika saves her. Then they meet an immortal who happens to be good, who helps them. Then Aris runs into trouble again. He saves her. They stay somewhere. Then the next immortal picks them up. This time it's an evil immortal because we have to do it. We always have to switch. Good immortal, bad immortal. Good immortal, bad immortal. Then they get attacked by creatures again. It's literally the same shit over and over again for so many. Like, it got so tedious. This part of the book was so hard to get through because nothing happens. None of this, like, furthers the plot, furthers the story, furthers their character development. There's nothing. It's not like we get cute little yearning moments between these two. No, they like beef at each other the whole time for no reason. There's like no development. Like, the pacing in this is absolutely abysmal. It feels like Aster, especially at this point, just tries to like make things up as she was writing them. Like, the characters now constantly make random stops for random people where they will do random things. Like, it feels like a repetitive RPG where you know you have to get from point A to point B, and in between there will be a bunch of random encounters just because something needs to happen. And that's the next 30 chapters of this book. There's also like no sense of urgency to any of this, because the tension is always on the same level. There's never like a moment where we actually get to calm down, where we actually have time to sit with the characters, maybe actually have some character development moments, maybe have some cute yearning scenes between the characters, build their relationship, build their personalities, get to know the world or anything. No, it's all just the same tension line with always like random attacks, then we get to stay somewhere, random attacks again, random immortal again. It's all the same. There's no urgency. I have no idea how much time is passing in this book, because it simultaneously feels like I have to read about every single little thing that Aris does every day, but at the same time it feels like we're speeding through this journey, which with a bunch of random encounters that happen to these people. We meet like so many random side characters, tertiary characters who will not be important again at any point. We encounter creatures that will not be important again. So, for example, there is a point where I don't remember how, but there's like a big scary forest, the bone forest, and there's like a really cool sword or something. I think is hidden in there, and for some reason I don't know why. Like Aris goes into the. Oh, I think because she's running away from someone. She like decides to run into the bone forest, and there's a scary creature in the bone forest. And in order for the creature not to kill her, the creature says like that it wants one of Aris's memories, one of Aris's happy memories. Now, up until this point, Aris very specifically told us she only has 10 happy memories. She literally keeps count. She has Aris's top 10 happy memories. I don't know who else does that. Who counts their memories? Who like specifically puts a number on, this is how many happy memories I have? And she decides to give one of those memories to the weird creature so it will let her go. We don't know which memory. Up until this point, we don't even know what the 10 happy memories are. We don't know what the 10 happy memories are in general. We get to hear like 2 or 3 of them. And she gives one of those memories to the creature. Actually, one of those memories, short sideline here, but tangent here, but like one of those memories is really funny because she describes how she remembers that how her parents like fell in love, and it's really funny because it describes how like like her dad loved her mom so much and how she smiled and that she looked so beautiful, and it's like a whole ass paragraph about how beautiful she was and how he fell in love with that, and then immediately the next paragraph is like, and then she got attacked by wolves and it dragged her into the forest. Like, it's such a hard cut. There's like no transition at all, and it was really, really funny to read. Almost like a funny jump cut. So I actually found it. So this is the part where she remembers this. Like her parents and stuff, and how they met, and how they fell in love. He said she was the most beautiful girl he had ever seen. He said he liked the way she threw her head back when she laughed. She was doing it that day, as she and the other children played a game. The wolf came from nowhere. Its ribs were visible. It was visible through its flesh. It was starving. It grabbed my mother by the back of her dress and dragged her through the streets all the way into the forest, a patch of trees that were sickly and half rotted. She screamed. I don't know, in my head it just looked and sounded really funny. So yeah, we get like a bunch of repetitions now, and this just shows also yet again how this book was just not edited, because there's so many repetitions of the same events over and over and over again. We have the repetitions of phrases, of words that the characters will say over and over and over again. And here comes my proof how I know this book was not edited. Because Aster literally uses the word centennial from Lightlark in this book. And no editor caught it. It's in the finished product. Like, this is a bit earlier in chapter 15, when Aris talks about how she has like prepared for this quest that she wants to go on. And here is the line. It was a skill I taught myself before coming to the centennial. Aster literally mixes up the name of her deadly games in this book with the ones from her previous fantasy series. And it's in the finished product. It's in every version. Like, I read like an online version, then I went to the bookshop just to check. It's in the printed version too. This is how you know these books are not getting edited. This is like, how do you read this and still give it 5 stars when the publisher, when the editors, if there were any, do not even care enough to proofread and edit first draft manuscripts they get? Like, fuck off. This is what we mean when like people on BookTube or Bookstagram and BookTok, when they talk about that, it feels like these books are not being edited. When it feels like there's so much poor writing, so much poor word choice, so many repetitions, so many mistakes in the grammar, in the syntax, in the literal uses of words that should not be here. This is embarrassing. This is bad. This is sloppy. This is lazy. It's just proof of these types of books not receiving any editing. It's really just about go and write a book with the most popular fantasy and romance cliches out there right now, because that's how we make money. We don't even have to proofread this. Just put it out there. People will buy it anyway. And the sad thing is, this is true. People are eating this up. This book has like 5 stars out of 5 stars everywhere across Goodreads. It has like an average rating of 4.3 or something. People are praising this romantasy slop that's not even edited. Shit like this is there, and it apparently doesn't bother people. How does it not bother you? Like, I would understand maybe if there's a typo here and there, sometimes this can happen, or like repetition of phrases, but this is different. This is Aster literally using a word from her other series in this book, and no one caught it, no one changed it. How? How did no one pick up on this? Like, I'm so baffled by how poor of a state this book gets published in, and it's fine. Apparently this is fine, and people are buying it, and people are saying this is so well written, this is so great. Like, I'm sorry if I'm sounding mean here, but at this point I'm like, excuse me, but you can't call this good. Like, you're literally getting lazily edited first manuscripts, if they're even being edited at all. Why are you praising this? Why? This, I'm mad. I'm genuinely mad at this book for so many reasons. That it's so lazy. That as we've already seen, and we will see, that there's so many just cliches and stereotypes and things that are popular at the moment from so many other romantasy and fantasy books are just thrown together in this. They're just thrown together and to make a mishmash. This reads like this book is everything that is wrong with current trends in romantasy and the publishing industry. This is what this book is. This book embodies everything I currently hate about these romantasy and publishing trends. Like, I don't want to say that this entire genre is bad, even though I'm struggling to find good books in it, but I want to find good books in it. I don't want to say that every popular book talk book is bad, but if you literally keep praising shit like this, that no one even bothered to look at before printing it, then I'm sorry. Like, what do you want me to do at this point? I'm legit so mad, as you can tell. And to come back to the story, we're just continuing this a repetition of events where they're fighting, and then they're running somewhere, and they're fighting again, blah, 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 blah. In between, supposedly, there's relationship building between Reika and Aris, with like this very superficial enemies to lovers thing. Nothing. We're getting nothing. Because Reika is not a character. Reika is just a brooding guy who gives Aris, who gives this to this relationship dynamic nothing. He just tells her the whole time, fuck off, I have to save you the whole time, you're annoying, don't be with me, go away, you suck. That's it. That's all he does. He's just mean throughout the entire book. And he still has to save her almost all the time. Like, she gets herself in trouble all the time. Like with this memory stealing creature that we talked about previously. He has to save her from that. He has to run into the dangerous forest, has to save her from that. What happens then is that I think she like falls unconscious or something, and she wakes up. I want you to picture this. Listen to me and picture it. She wakes up, curled against his chest. She's holding on to him, arms around his neck, legs around his midriff, koala style or sloth style. She's holding on to him while he, with his giant ass sword, is still fighting stuff in front of him. That's their size difference. Their size difference is a joke. Like, I get that height differences are kind of popular and hot and stuff, but excuse me? Like, how small is she? And how big is he that she can just like ride him like in a papoose? Like it's like she's in a papoose, like a baby, strapped to his chest. Like, he's a giant. He's a tree of a man that she can hold onto him like this, and he's still like doing this without any problem. Like, we're overdoing it, people. We're overdoing the size difference. And later, that happens later, but I'm going to mention now, the size difference is so ridiculous. At a later point, they are walking through water. The water line hits her waistline, and for him, it's knee height. Like, excuse me? I tried to envision this, and I was like, is she a hobbit? She has to be a hobbit. Like, what else would facilitate a size difference like that? Like, holy shit. So he saves her the whole time. At one point, Reika even has like a full-on like angry meltdown in front of her where he complains that she constantly gets herself in trouble. And she's like, oh, how dare he think that about me? And you know what? I don't like him, but he's right. She's the one who constantly gets them in trouble. She's the one who runs into the bone forest. She's the one who has to want to touch the magical creatures that, surprise, surprise, want to attack her. She's the one who runs into stupid immortals all the time. She's the one who runs off and gets herself into trouble all the time. She's the one who does stupid shit. And she always acts in the most stupid way because, like any other female protagonist in these books, she has to be like so sassy and sarcastic and can't keep her mouth shut even though she should. Like when they encounter immortals who can help them, she has to make a snippish comment. She has to make a sly remark even though you're like, these people could help you. And they're immortals. They could kill you. Why are you being sarcastic and sassy towards them? Just shut your mouth. Like, just for once, shut your mouth. This is not the time to speak right now. Eventually. Because there is actually a thing Aris is looking for, which I haven't mentioned up until this point, because Aris forgets to mention it. So when Stalin died, he told her to go look for someone called Vander Evan, I think. I think he's like an immortal on Starside that she's supposed to find. The thing is, I forgot to mention this up until now because she mentions it so infrequently that you might as well forget that there's actually someone she's looking for. She almost never mentions this. Like, she maybe mentions that she's looking for this guy every, like, 6 or 7 chapters, and every time it happened, I was like, oh yeah, right, she's actually looking for someone. Because she doesn't talk about it. She just doesn't talk about it. And eventually, there comes the point where she, like, calls out for him, because she, like, can call for him or something. And it was never the right moment, but now she feels like it's the right moment, and she calls for Vander Evan. And he appears. And at first he's angry at her because, like, he wants to kill her, and she's like, no, I know Stalin, and he's like, oh, you're with Stalin, you're friends with him? She's like, yeah, he raised me, but he's dead, and he told me to find you. He's like, okay, so you can come into my house, but he keeps Reika, like, outside in the stables, because Reika is, like, dangerous and scary and shit. This is, like, the one part in the book where we actually get to calm down a little bit and spend time in one singular location, where Aris is now spending time with Venda, and she tries to, like, make plans on how she wants to kill the gods. The book gets a bit weird here with Venda Evan, because, like, every time he interacts with Aris, the book describes him in, like, a weirdly complimentary way. Like, he's very handsome and good looking, and that Aris feels a bit when he, like, near her and touches her or something. It, like, feels a bit flirty based on the descriptions, but for no reason. It's not like, if this was Alex Astor's attempt to, like, set up a love triangle or anything, please don't. Please don't. It's stupid. Please don't. Please no. It's a bad idea. It's stupid, a bad idea. So, and there's actually going to be, like, a ball where a bunch of immortals from the great houses and from houses adjacent to the gods are gonna be. So ours should make some acquaintances and gain some allies and stuff. And this is also, like, the one time where she actually is supposed to show her silver markings that up until this point she's tried to keep hidden. I don't know if it's at this point or, like, later or something. She actually talks about how she got those silver markings, and it's because she was struck by lightning. One time as a child, when she tried to save her sister, she was struck by lightning, and then she got those silver markings. That's it. That's all we're getting. At the ball, she's dancing with a bunch of people and making allies. All these people they're of course all men. They're all weirdly flirty and even a bit rapey with her, which is also a weird thing that I'm gonna come back to, I think. The book likes to do. And she, like, talks to some people there, and apparently there's, like, one man who's close to, like, the god of death or something, but he's apparently planning on going against the god of death, so maybe that's a good ally to have. And I think Reika manages to actually escape his prison and go to find Aris. And then I don't know exactly what the series of events is, but, like, they find out that Venda is, like, a blood mage or a vampire, something like that, like an evil creature that drinks blood to keep young or something like that. This doesn't really have that big of an impact on the story, and surprise, it also turns out that the guy who said that he goes against the god of death, of course, doesn't go against the god of death, and they are betrayed and they have to run away and stuff. So that's sort of that part of the story. Then, or before that, I don't actually know. There is a point in the story where, of course, we have to introduce the spice between the couple, and there is a moment where they're in a cave, and suddenly a demon approaches them, like a big shining sunlight demon, and they have to keep their eyes closed. Oh, I think this might actually happen before they meet Evan. Doesn't matter. I just have to mention it because it's stupid. And the demon forces them to be horny for each other, because of course it does. Just like in Fourth Wing, we have to introduce weird things that make our main characters horny for each other, so we have a makeout scene. Up until this point, there hasn't really been much affection between them. The only thing that has happened is, of course, that the moment Aris first saw Raker naked, but with his mask on, so we don't actually know what his face looks like yet because he's been wearing a mask this whole time. But the moment she saw like him half naked with like his upper body and stuff, of course, immediately hot. He's so hot. And Aris starts wondering what this body can do. And throughout random moments of the book, she started to refer to like, oh my god, what else could these hands do to someone? And she always tries to like shake it off, like, why am I thinking stuff like this? But she will always like refer back to randomly be like, oh, but what else could he do? And you're like, what? Shut up. And now they have this random encounter with the demon that makes them all horny for each other, but they have to keep their eyes closed, so Raker can't see her silver markings yet at this point. And she's the only one who gets like full on naked, and they make out against the cave and all that. It's very reminiscent of Serpent and the Wings of Night with the cave sex scene. And it's like she rubs it, like she's completely naked. She rubs herself against his like silver armor that he wears 24/7, by the way, and all that. And it's like, oh, it's so spicy, but they can't look at each other. And then just Raker randomly decides that he can now kill the demon, and then that's that. But they have now properly made out for the first time because I guess at some point we have to introduce the spice and the falling for each other, which is not a thing. It's lust. As always, is literally just lust. It's not that at any point in the story they're actually like warming up to each other, or that there are moments where we feel like, oh, like Raker's actually becoming a bit of a better person, that he changed for her, that he shows that he's good. That doesn't happen. Oh, and before we move on with the story, if you're wondering why they actually hate each other, so he doesn't have a reason to hate her. That nothing comes up ever. But she eventually reveals to him that 2 years ago, when she was younger, she wanted, I don't know if she wanted to train at the like royal training grounds, or she was like secretly watching the knights train at the training ground, and she got caught and it was not allowed. And then apparently Raker was the one who told the guards who told the soldiers to like throw her in prison and abuse her. Like they go to where she is imprisoned and they strip her down. They actually use rusty blades. It's emphasized how they have really rusty blades, and they carve their names into her backside. How she did not get super tetanus, I don't know. But yeah, she blames him for that because he was there that day and he was the leader of the King's Guard and all that. But of course, Raker says he did never order that. He said that he told his guards to like simply let her go and throw her out on the street. That's that. That's the reason why she hates him, and Raker's immediately like, yeah, no, that's not what happened. That's it. That's literally all we're getting. And somehow she blames him for this. Like him specifically, not like the guards, the soldiers who did that to her, or like the royal soldiers in general who she should have hatred for. No, him specifically. And then he says, yeah, no, that's not actually what happened. And you're like, and as a reader, you're like, oh, okay. So I guess that's dealt with. Huh. But they still hate each other. And she has to say that she hates him, like directly to him, to the face, all the time. So eventually they, like I said, they leave Vanda Evans' place. I don't actually know what happens after that. Like they travel a bit, encounter some more immortals or something. I don't know. Eventually we get to their proper sex scene where Aris just decides, apparently, like, fuck it, I hate him, but I'm so sexually attracted to him, I guess I got to shag him. And she like, even throughout this entire sex chapter, which, by the way, is 15 pages long. 15 pages of sex between these two stupid ass characters. She, th- it's bad. It's bad because just like the rest of the book, it's so utterly repetitive and badly described that you can't even really imagine what's going on, and it just repeats so many of the same beats over and over again and just goes on and on and on where you're like, yeah, okay, I get it. Can we be done? I don't need 15 pages of sex. Like, come on. What are we doing? And of course, they still have to tell each other by the time, all the time, that how much they hate each other. There's literally like a point where like he slams into her and he's like, "Hate me harder." It's really stupid. It's really stupid. It's so stupid. And this entire time she goes on how much she hates him, but also how much she wants him. She literally walks into his room before this happens, and she's like, I'm it's like the day before they're going off to probably fight the gods, and she like comes into his room and it's like, I'm probably gonna die tomorrow, but there's one thing I still haven't done. And then they start having sex. I don't know if this refers to her maybe even being a virgin, because she says there's one thing I still haven't done yet. I don't know if that just means that she means she hasn't had sex with him yet, or it means in general she hasn't had sex in general. No idea. It doesn't matter. Of course, the sex is absolutely amazing. Of course, she is tight. He is absolutely enormous. Like the sex scene describes, so often it is said how deeper, that he goes deeper inside her, that he hits her deeper. It That phrase is said so many times. I was like, how long is his penis? Is his penis like 1 meter long? Where is all of this going with how often you're saying it goes even deeper? I'm like, no, at some point it stops. At some point it stops. Or it hurts, or whatever. Of course it doesn't hurt. It's absolutely amazing. They do it in like six different positions or something. And he orders her around, but she thinks she's got the upper hand, and it's really cool. And the entire time, she still goes on about how much she hates him. And if you think back to the reason why she hates him, that she thinks he's literally responsible for awful men groping and assaulting her and then cutting their names into her flesh. That's a super bad traumatic experience that she blames him for. And she has sex with him anyway because he's so fucking hot. Oh, and of course, at this point, we now know what he looks like because he finally took his mask off. And you can take 3 guesses as to what brooding man in Romantasy novel looks like. So here it is. Here's what Harlan Raker actually looks like. Because Harlan Raker is a monster, but he doesn't look like one. He's painfully beautiful. His skin is pale, his cheeks are sharp, his hair is dark and curled around his ears. Just looking at him makes my blood heat. He looks like he was carved by a merciless god, one that wanted a weapon people would run toward. He's like a blade. I know if I touch him, I will bleed, but I want to anyway. I can't help but be enraptured. I stare, even though he's watching. I open my mouth and close it, unable to find the right words. So of course he looks like literally every other brooding fuckboy in any of these books. Amazing cheekbones, white, black hair, tall as a mountain. Tattoos, he also has tattoos, by the way. And why does he hide his face? Because he hates himself so much. There's nothing beautiful in the world, and he hates himself and how he looks, so he must hide his face from the world. That's it. That's literally it. So now we know what our two loving leads look like when they do the thing. Once they're done doing the thing, we can finally move on with the story. They're now moving on towards the final part of the story. They're about to, like, go find the magic, go fight the gods, and fuck all. But what has actually happened after the sex, the next day that Aris wakes up, Reika has disappeared, and so has her sword. He took her cool, super badass sword, which is literally one of the best swords of all time. It's literally a god sword, as we know now. Harlan took her sword and betrayed her, literally after they had sex. And then some perpetrators come in and they try to kill Aris, and Aris, completely unarmed and I think completely naked, takes out 3 dudes. And then she goes and leaves. I don't think she puts on any clothes. From what I could gather from the description, I think she's naked. There's a point, it's like she later gets some clothes, I don't remember. But there's like a point where eventually, I don't like she runs into, I don't know if it's like before or after the sex. Like she runs into Kaduk again. Kaduk is actually there, like near where the gods are, where the magic is and stuff, on his cool super badass dragon, and he attacks her, and they fight, and they literally fight on top of his dragon while it's flying around. Don't know how that's working, but it does. And he eventually, because below them there's like a city on fire that they've traveled towards, and thinking that she will burn to death, he like kicks her off the dragon, and she falls and plummets into the flames. And then Aris literally does a Daenerys and walks out of the flames naked, completely unscathed, because fire cannot harm a dragon. Fire cannot harm Aris for some reason, ever since she got struck by lightning. Literally pulls a Daenerys. So, as she finally makes her way to where the magic is, and needs some help, because the bad guys are there, guess who now, like 3 or 4 chapters before the ending, who comes in again right at the moment that she needs it? Her fucking dragon. Her fucking dragon comes back to help her. It just randomly shows up again, right here at a completely different part of the country, with no mental connection, no nothing. The dragon swoops in Deus Ex Machina style and saves her now that she needs help. In the entire book, the dragon was not there. Nothing. This is not a dragon book. This does not count. This is so stupid. This is literally the stupidest thing of all time. So she goes on her dragon to fly to where the magic is. Kaduk is or was there. So Kaduk actually reveals, while he's being rando evil guy, that he actually killed Ginger Woman. Oh no! That means, because remember this happened like back in chapter 12 or something, that we abandoned Ginger Woman. This means Kaduk, who had a dragon this whole time, so he could do this travel thing real fast. He went back just to kill this rando woman, so he could then fly back to the very end of the quest route and attack Aris and tell her that he killed Ginger Woman. This is so unnecessary. This is so unnecessary. Guess who we also run into randomly at the very end, just before Aris confronts the gods? X-Man. X-Man just turns up there right at the gates of where the magic is for a brief encounter where I was like, oh my god, you made it, cool, did you get your magic? And he's like, yeah, I got my magic. But the evil guy also got his magic. Guess he might be immortal now. You go and kill the gods. Okay, and X-Man fucks off. Random. We have not seen this guy in over 25 chapters. Why should I care? What are we doing here? It's like a brief catch up to be like, oh, by the way, this is what happened. And then he just fucks off. He doesn't even stick around to like help Aris or anything. And we don't even get a final battle with the bad guy. It's just that offhandedly X-Men mentions, oh yeah, by the way, bad guy also got a cup of magic. And left. So that's that. Okay, so we're literally like, this book has like 48 chapters, and this is now chapter like 46, 47. Like, we're literally almost done here, folks. She goes in to where the magic is. By the way, she doesn't do anything with the magic. Aris doesn't wish for anything. She doesn't pick it up. She doesn't wish to be like super powerful. She doesn't wish for god powers. She doesn't wish for the gods to perish. She doesn't wish for Harlan to come back. She doesn't wish for a sword to come back. Nothing. She does nothing with the magic. But it doesn't matter, because on her way there, some really cool magic immortal god lady, I don't even remember how or what happened, actually gave her a super duper cool sword and god tier armor. So she's now well equipped to do this. And Aris knows, because she read it in a book like 20 chapters ago, that you can call to the gods when you're on their land. So Aris knows the goddess who killed her family. There was a goddess who set her family's house on fire, and her whole family and her whole village died. So she now calls for the goddess by name, and she appears, and you think, this is it. This is what this entire book has been building towards. Aris has wanted to kill the gods. She's wanted to take revenge upon the goddess who killed her family, who killed her village. This is it. This is the final encounter. And she's like readying a sword. Her dragon is somewhere behind her or something. And she has this encounter. She wants to kill the goddess, and the goddess just like literally just stands there and is like, no, don't kill me. I know how to bring your family back. And I was just like, yeah, okay, tell me. And the goddess is like, yeah, but you have to make an oath. You have to swear not to kill me, and then I will tell you. And Aris is like, okay, I swear I will not kill you. Tell me how to bring back my family. And the goddess is like, yeah, well, you have to kill the god of death to bring back your family. And then, how this gets resolved with what happens to the goddess who killed her family. This is what happens. With knee-shattering force, my dragon breaks through the arch, shattering the silver beams, and lands right behind me, shaking the ground. I can feel the steam of her breath above my head. The goddess's eyes widen. You made a blood oath not to kill me. I never said anything about my dragon. I look up at my silver companion. Eat. The goddess can't even summon a flicker of power before my dragon swallows her and her 1,000 gems whole. That's it. That's literally the end of chapter 46. And that's how we deal with the goddess who killed Aris's family. That's literally it. That's all we're getting. This is what this entire book has been building towards for almost 500 pages. We're 2 chapters before the end. This is the big encounter, the big fight, the big goal. And she has a short conversation with the goddess, and then her fucking dragon comes in and eats her alive. And that's it. That's literally it. That's literally it. That's how anticlimactic this is. Remember how I said that nothing in this book feels significant? Nothing in this book feels like built up at all, or like it's anything special or emotional. This is exactly it. This was supposed to be the big finale. This was supposed to be the big thing that Aris was working towards. Take revenge upon the goddess who literally killed her family. And it's just like, dragon eats up, done. What are we doing? This is not... If not even the characters and the author, when they can't even be bothered to emphasize supposedly great emotional and important moments like this, why should I care if the narration doesn't even care that something supposedly pretty significant just happened? Doesn't matter. Apparently, it doesn't matter. What's more important is we have to deal with the enemies to lovers relationship. Because Raker is still missing. He still took her sword. Why did he take her sword? Because his sword and her sword were once one super powerful blade. There's a lot of Harry Potter vibes with this, because these swords also have like phoenix feather cores or dragon scale cores. And now, like Harry and Voldemort's ones, Aris's and Raker's swords are also connected because they were once from the same thing. And that's why they can be reunited, and that's why they're so special. And telling you, the literary incest in this. And Raker wants to put the swords back together, but apparently it would be really bad. And now Aris wants to call for the god of death because she's been told, the god of death is who she has to kill or bring her family back. So she is like, god of death, appear, blah blah blah. And of course, a giant throne of bones or something or whatever appears out of the ground. And who sits on the throne of the god of death? It's Harlan Raker, because of course it is. Because if he's not a shadow daddy, you damn as well are gonna make sure that he's a fucking god of death. And he actually holds someone in his fist that he just killed. He just killed the god of war. And he reveals that the god of war actually had wanted to kill him 5 years ago. But yet again, Harry Potter Voldemort Horcrux style, Harlan actually kept a tiny piece of his soul in a thing that he put into Stormside. He put into the mortal realm. So when the god of war killed him, not all of him was dead, because a part of his soul, like a Horcrux, was still alive and living. So that's how he got his body back, and he was immortal, and he was mortal, and now he wants to become immortal and a god again. That's why he needs the magic. It's dumb, and I don't know what the timeline of this is, because I don't know how old Harlan Raker is supposed to be. I'm assuming he's supposed to be in his 20s or look like he's in his 20s if he's like with Aris. Max maybe 30, I'm assuming. But like, what's the timeline? Because Aris, throughout this entire book, Aris talks about him like he's so well known. Like, Harlan is so well known as like the head of the King's Guard. Like, he's well established. Everyone across the land knows him. She had an encounter with him like a few years ago when he was presumably an adult. And like, what's the timeline? Was anyone surprised that like 5 years ago there was this rando guy who suddenly turned up with like super cool combat skills, and then he became the head of the King's Guard? Just like that? What's the timeline here? It doesn't make sense. So we're literally like in the final chapters now, basically. They hate each other, they explain what's been going on, and now they fight. They have a duel, and no shit, no jokes, Aris is actually sort of winning this. Aris, who has barely any combat skills, who Harlan Raker actually had to teach combat skills to in previous chapters. The woman who could barely lift her sword earlier is now winning a duel against him because he never had anyone to duel before. So he's like lazy and might not pay attention to her. That's why she gains the upper hand. So stupid. He's literally the god of death. He's literally said to be the greatest warrior of all time, anywhere, ever. He's like the greatest. He's so cool. He's literally described as that his armor, his silver armor, because that's a good metal for armor, has no scratches on front and back because no one has ever gotten close to him. But here comes motherfucking Aris, tiniest, petitest, smallest hobbit woman of all time, and she actually sort of puts up a fight against him. And of course, there's like some mixed up feelings still in all of this, and there is a moment where they're like close to each other, and then Game of Thrones Daenerys Jon style, or if you wanted older reference, X-Men 3 style, she is like, I think I love you, and then she stabs him through the chest, and you're like, oh my god, we're gonna put all the cliches in here. Come on, let's put all of them in there. We're literally in the last chapter now. Of course he is not dead. Of course he isn't. But she now, as a way to like get her sword back that he stole from her, she gets her sword back. Her sword, by the way, gets a name in a previous chapter, and she decides to call her blade Stellaris. And I was like, that sounds familiar. Yeah, Stellaris is a video game. It's not even that old. It's a video game. Maybe Alex Aster should learn to look up fantasy words that she comes up with to make sure they don't actually exist in real life. So she takes Stellaris back, gets on her dragon, gets a cup of magic, and makes a run for it to go back to the gates, because the gates between Stormside and Starside are only open for 50 days. So you only have 50 days to make the journey and go back. And now Aris apparently makes this journey in just a few minutes, a few hours. It's literally the last chapter. Aster describes this entire journey back to the gates in this final chapter. So she travels, of course, he's following her. He's like right behind her. As she's like trying to go through the gates, he's like pulling her back by the ankles because he just really, really wants that sword. But of course, she manages to push back, and just as the gates close, she runs through, and the gates close, and they look at each other, and now they're like separated. We stare at each other through the silver, chests heaving, only metal between us. He looks down, the sword still in my scabbard. Then he looks back up at me. These gates won't keep me from you, he says. He says it like it's a curse. I press as close to him as I can. He's just inches away, but he might as well be across the world. See you in 50 years, Raker, I whisper. Then I turn back towards my home of ashes. And that's how Starside ends. I hate how abruptly this ends. It's like Aster has never heard of like the tension curve, like the rising and falling tension of a story. Like nothing at all. Like it just immediately ends in the moment of climax once we've sort of solved that, and it immediately ends. There's like no debrief moment, like not another chapter where we just sort of get to debrief with Aris or with Reika or whatever what's going on. Nothing. It's just immediately all rising tension, right that end. I don't know. I just don't like that. Like narratively, I think it just doesn't work. So that's the story. I'm gonna refer now to my Goodreads review to um, just address some more stuff that I think we like need to talk about. So we already said way too much swearing. It doesn't read like a YA book at all. It has um, abysmal pacing. We just do the same stuff over and over and over again. It's all like super predictable. Aster doesn't even make an attempt to like shake things up a little bit. There's nothing like that. Um, we get like side characters that we are supposed to care for that are not important because there's no significance to them. There's no emotional connection to him. We meet Stalin and he dies literally in the same chapter, I think. And then we're supposed to care about this mentor character. We have Ginger Woman and X-Man, who we do not care for. Like Ginger Woman literally has to be sent back and she dies somewhere off page, and then X-Man also disappears, and then we meet him again like just for a brief moment right before the end, and that's it, just to check that, oh yeah, by the way, this is what happens to him. The same with the dragon. Why is the dragon in this? It's literally just because dragons are popular at the moment, isn't it? Aris meets this dragon, spends one day with him, and then the dragon completely disappears for the entire rest of the story, only to swoop in at the very end to be like a Deus Ex Machina vehicle munch weapon. It's so stupid, and I do not care. I just so do not care. Like, we had this problem with that nothing is described properly. Like, Aster said at some point that she can't envision things in her mind. And, I know aphantasia is a thing. I know that is a thing. But for God's sake, it's your job as the author to tell me what things look like. You have to find a workaround for this. Like look at pictures, photos, paintings, whatever that resemble what you think this looks like, and describe those. Like, I'm sure there are plenty of other authors who struggle with this, who are doing way better than you. Like, I have no idea what anything looks like, what Starside actually is supposed to be like. It's just, in my head, it's just generic fantasy 101 stuff. There are like so many creatures and monsters who attack our characters, and I have literally zero idea of what any of them look like because they're just not described. Again, the best thing I got is a Godzilla bear who sparkles with magic. That's it. We have there's so many repetitions in this, like entire phrases and words are being used over and over and over again, sometimes like even in the same page and in the same paragraph. Like For example, Aris mentioned so many times that she falls on her ass. Like she says, I fall on my ass, or I fall over and land on my ass. She says this so many times. Then every time Raker's like fingers, when he like touches her, first off, he always seems to touch her with his knuckles. Like it's always like knuckles that are going over, like running down her skin. And if his fingers are described, they're always calloused. Like he always says like calloused fingertips. That's the only way she's describing his fingers. Then she thinks of his name or says his name so many times. The amount of times she says Raker so often, or demon, like she randomly refers to him as demon all the time. Then every time she has to talk about her sword, we have to mention how heavy it is, just in case you forgot. Then she braids her hair. We have to hear about her braiding her hair in this very specific way at least 6 or 7 times. I had to read 6 or 7 times in this very specific way how she braids her hair. Why do I need to know this? Why do I need to hear of this more than one time? I don't understand. And then, of course, we have all the swearing, the amounts of fucks and shits that are being given, unfortunately, in this book. The grunting. It's just so much. I cannot emphasize enough how many filler words and filler phrases are in this book and repetitions. Like you can't ignore them. You just can't ignore them once you read. Like I said, sentences have a weird structure. They run on and on. They lose all structure. Like they make me wonder what actually happened, how we got to certain places because we have so many run-on sentences. Then other sentences are like weirdly structured because they're cut short with like very strange syntax. Oh, and I didn't even mention this yet. Such an overuse of italics. So many random words are in italics all the time. Like every page is filled with at least 3 or 4 words in italics. And it just felt so random because there wasn't like a rhyme or reason for why Aris/Aster was emphasizing these words. It just sounded like Aris was emphasizing words in a really weird way for no reason because there were constantly italics everywhere. And I didn't know. Okay, we have to talk about the how unoriginal this book is. There's so much taken from other popular romantasy books. Like, there's a reason why I'm calling this romantasy slop because there's not an ounce of originality in this. So let's go over this once again, just so you recognize how many different things are in here from other books. So of course we have the ever so popular superficial enemies to lovers between Aris and Reka that I feel like is in almost every romantasy book at this point, and none of these ever really do it right. Like there aren't really enemies. Like sure, he threatens her at the beginning that he's gonna kill her. He never does. He never tries. All they do is like bicker. Like they literally work together. They literally work together for 80% of the book. She hates him. She constantly is like, oh, I hate that I have to work together with you because I hate you. While Aris forgets that she's literally the one who asked him. Like, she's literally the one who asked him to work with her because she thought it was a good idea to stick around with the most powerful guy. And then she always goes on about, oh, I hate that I have to work with him. I'm like, you asked him, bitch. Like, what? Like, we literally get the who did this to you line from Raker when he sees the scars on her back. The falling in love bit is not a thing. It's like falling in lust. More like this the point where they're supposed to start liking each other in a way is never explained. It's instead like replaced, of course, with thirsting and physical attraction. And that's all that's needed for them to be intimate, I guess. The first time they make out, as we've mentioned, is literally forced. It's magically forced for them to be horny for each other, which is also what happens in Fourth Wing in the first book, where the dragons make Violet and Zayden horny for each other. We get the cave sex, like in Serpent and the Wings of Night. And of course, we have the classic size differences, like we said. Then, of course, we have Aster basically stealing her own ideas and not just using the word centennial for it. That's not what I mean, but like literally her using just another deadly trial that happens not every 100 years, but every 50 years this time. She's basically plagiarizing herself. That's what it feels like. So we have a fight to the death, like we said, the platform, before we have another fight to the death, which is the culling, where they all have to kill each other before they can gain access, before we get to the actual quest roll anyway. So the quest tool doesn't even make sense. Like, why is it only 50 people? Multiple people can win. Why are they fighting? Doesn't make sense. Then, of course, like we said, there's dragons, because dragons are popular right now. Again, fourth wing. Of course, we have to put a dragon in here that our responds with, that we have no attachment to. It disappeared. It not in the book for like 90% of the story. Aris supposedly cares so much for this dragon, who just happens to look not golden like in fourth wing, but silver. But just like in fourth wing, it has a disabled wing. But honestly, at this point, the dragons in fourth wing are better than this. Seriously. Like, there's no point to the dragons in this. And of course, we have the parapet that Aris has to cross in order to gain access to the land of the gods, just like in fourth wing. Violet has to cross a narrow parapet in order to gain access to the school. Then, of course, speaking of dragons, we have Aris being Daenerys. Like we said, we had the scene earlier where she literally falls into flames and she walks out completely naked because fire cannot harm her. Oh, and by the way, I didn't even mention this because it's so insignificant. There's a prophecy in this book. It's mentioned offhandedly twice. And it's called The Paladin That Was Promised. Not the prince that was promised like in Game of Thrones. No, the paladin that was promised. It's offhandedly mentioned literally 2 times. We do not know what this prophecy means, what it refers to. We only know that, hey, it probably involves Aris. It has no reason to be there. It just doesn't make any sense. And the name is so ridiculous. Oh, and of course, like we said, we have the whole Jon and Daenerys thing where she stabs Rhaegar in the chest after she says that she loves him because he has to be stopped and all that. Aris is literally any other main character in these popular romantasy books. She's a sassy badass with a sword. Like, she is strong and smart, but not really, because she still has to be safe the whole time, and she doesn't really act in a super smart or strong way. Like I said, she always badmouths people and is sassy for no reason, even in moments when she should really just shut her mouth. Like, she's petite and small, but at the same time she's tough and a badass. Like, she was taught how to fight and work with swords. Like, she was taught by a blacksmith, but at the same time she has trouble using her own super sword. She's constantly sarcastic and belittling towards people who help her, like we said. She ends up being saved by Rhaegar most of the time. Like, she saves him maybe like 2 times, but he saves her way more times. She hates the bad guy, she hates Rhaegar, but oh, he's also super hot. Like, everyone who doesn't like her is clearly a villain, is clearly an antagonist, and utterly evil. There's, like, gray areas, forget about that. She has the greatest memory in the world because girl literally remembers entire maps and entire passages from books after only, like, looking at them for a few minutes. It's just Aris is exactly the same as all the other characters. Aris is the same as Isla, is the same as Violet, is the same as Oriah, is the same as Carden. These are all the same types of female characters, and I'm so tired of having to read about the same characters all the time. Because the same goes, obviously, for Harlan Raker, who is just like another dark, brooding love interest. Like, he's a giant of a man, he's hench, he has tattoos, he's white, black hair, amazing cheekbones. He acts totally indifferent towards Aris the entire time. Grunt is morally grey. He's needlessly mean and violent. And of course, he's like the bestest and most badass fighter of all time. This man has like no personality. All we know about him is that before the big reveal at the end is that I don't even know that he once lived in a village with his family, like a fishing village, and he had a sister or something, which I'm not even sure if that's true given what we know about him by the end. Like, there's literally a moment in this book where Aris tries to appeal to him, where they have to fight their emotions or something, and she tries to appeal to him to be like, yeah, I see you, I see who you are, and she rattles off what she knows about him in 3 sentences, in one singular paragraph. She tries to emotionally appeal to him with what she knows about him, and that's literally all we know about him. It's summed up in 3 sentences what we've learned about this man in 500 pages of story. Like, we know nothing. All he tells her the whole time is, shut up, leave me alone, you're trouble, go away. He just has a really awful personality that never changes. Like, I get that this is supposed to be villains and enemies to lovers, but there has to be a change. There has to be a change in the character. Someone has to adjust to actually make this work. Like, a good example, it's not even canon. And I do not even support this ship. But Katara and Zuko from Avatar The Last Airbender, if that had been a couple by the end, that would have been a good example of enemies to lovers, because they actually get it. Again, this is not a canon couple, and I don't even ship it, but that's literally the one good example I can come up with, because no one ever does it right. Because in that dynamic, because I mean, it's villains to friendship in the story, because in that story, Zuko actually changes as a person. Zuko has his own self-discovery. He changed as a person. He changes so this friendship between them can work. She doesn't fix him. He fixes himself, learns his mistakes, so they can actually become friends. This is the sort of thing that I want from an enemies to lovers relationship. That the person who is brooding and a problematic person changes. That they recognize what is their own issue, that maybe also Aris herself recognizes what her own problems are, and they change for themselves and then for each other so that they can become a couple. Doesn't happen. Raker just is. Zayden from Fourth Wing, honest to God, is more of a character than Harlan Raker. Seriously. It's so stupid. He's just the same as everyone else. Then, of course, we have the stupid sword magic, which I'm pretty sure is also in other books like Quicksilver, which I haven't read but I have heard about. And the swords, like we said, function like the wands in Harry Potter, because the swords have cores like Phoenix Feather core, Dragon Scale core, and just like Prioria Incantatem and all that in Harry Potter, Harlan Rakers and Aris' sword are connected because they were once in the same sword, so they are connected. Then apart from this, there's no other sword magic. That's the only sword magic you get, and the using it like Thor's hammer, calling it to you, which of course Aris also learns how to do at some point in the book. That's it. That's literally all the magic we get. They constantly talk about how they're magic swords and the swords are magical in the world, but there's no magic in those swords. We don't get like any cool ice blades, magic beams, or like a flame buff on the sword. Nothing. We get nothing along those lines. And of course, Harlan Raker's sword is so big. It's described at one point that Aris tries to pick it up, and it's so big that she can't even wrap her hand around the handle. Like, again, she is a hobbit. That's how tiny her hands must be. Or Zayden just has the most gigantic ass buster sword in the whole world. Like, what the fuck? Then, of course, we have the metal magic or the metal hierarchy, which doesn't make any sense. With Aster still trying to convince us that gold is a good idea for armor and swords, which it isn't, and that somehow silver blades are better than titanium blades, because that makes a whole lot of sense. Like, the world building in general is, like in so many other types of these books, and also like in Lightlock, vague as fuck. Like, just, it isn't great. Like, similar to so many other books, the author like treats the world building and the fantasy setting of this, it's set dressing. The author doesn't treat this as something that's integral to the story or the world. It's not something she really pays any attention to. The sword magic is not thought out. It's illogical and basically non-existent anyway. We spend no time with the dragons that were advertised. We don't have any cool dragon magic. There are gods in this world, and as you might have figured out, we don't know anything about them. We only know there's a god of death, a god of war, and the goddess, I think, of traveling, or I'm not sure, that Aris kills. We don't know anything. We don't know, is there a religion in this world? Do people like believe in the gods? Do they pray to the gods? Well, it's the pantheon. We don't even know how many gods there are. Like, Aris at the end is like, I've managed to kill one god, and Raker killed another one. That's two gone. Now I have to kill the others. How many others are there? What's the pantheon? Where do they live? Is religion a thing? We don't know anything about this. We don't know how the gods or a supposed religion influences human society. We don't know anything about that. We don't know how powerful they are. nothing. Because just as anything else in this book, it's just badly defined. It's either illogical or badly defined and vaguely described. Just like the magic. Magic in this book is vague. It's like a MacGuffin. Magic does anything that Aster needs it to do at this point at that point in the book. Like, it does whatever is required of the plot, whether that means there's a magic bear, whether that means magic tattoos, transportation magic, or the countryside glittering with magic sparkle. It can be anything. Like, people read this book, and I've read reviews of this, and people call this good, brilliant, easy to understand world building. It isn't! It isn't! You think it's easy to understand because it's so vague and ill-defined that you can't properly grasp it because there isn't anything to understand. There is nothing. You can say this because the world building is so sparse and ill-defined. Of course you think it's neat. It's barely thought out. Like, it feels like Aster simply came up with some stuff as she was writing. She didn't keep any notes. She didn't try to keep any track of what was going on. She was just writing shit as it was coming to her. There is no eternal logic to this. There is no passion to this. There is no sense to this. There's nothing. This is terrible. This is just terrible. And at the end, if I look at my little Goodreads list here, here's some random things that are in this book that I thought were weird, that we should talk about. Like, Aris tries to keep her silver markings, which are, again, very K-pop Demon Hunters coded, tries to keep them hidden, and conveniently, every time she finds a new outfit, it very conveniently covers her entire body, no matter where she is and where she gets clothes from. And she never wears any armor. She never receives any armor up until the very end, when a literal immortal entity appears to give her god tier armor when she needs it. Oh, at one point when they're traveling, Aris is bitten by a snake, and Raker sucks the venom out of the wound, and then he is poisoned himself. Well, first off, that's not how that works. And second of all, sucking venom out of a snake bite is not actually something you should do. That's not advised. It's not something you should actually do. It's dangerous and could even infect the wound or something. And I feel like I can say this, I could expect this from them, because anachronistically, because fantasy like this in books like this is always anachronistic and there's no eternal logic or anything. They know what CPR is. CPR is performed at one point of this book, and if they know what CPR is, I'm allowed to complain about the stupid snake venom stuff. Just saying. So Aris constantly mentions how heavy her sword is, as we've mentioned, and can't hold it properly, despite being a well-trained blacksmith. But this, of course, is completely forgotten about the moment she actually needs to defend herself with her sword, and does so without greater issue. And we have the whole that she actually needs sword training from Harlan at some point, who's literally the best fighter in the world, but somehow she manages to actually put up a fight against him. How? We have the whole, despite Aris not being able to talk to her dragon at all, she just knows her dragon is a girl. What? Also, Aris always got weirdly horny about Raker's soap. He has really he has a really amazing bar of soap with him that smells so great, and Aris repeatedly mentions how absolutely amazing the soap smells. It got weird. It just felt a bit weird at some point. Aris, when she is with Vander Evan or whatever his name is, and she makes all these alliances and talks to the people there, she promises, she makes binding promises to members of great houses and people related to the gods. I think she even promises to marry one of those guys. I'm not even sure. And this is all completely irrelevant. Once she is out of that house, this is all completely irrelevant. We never talk about all these bonds or promises or whatever. We don't talk about any of this again. And lastly, a lot of these guys are weirdly, a lot of the bad guys, but also just random men in this story are weirdly rapey towards Aris for no reason. Like, there would be so many allusions to like people touching Aris as they're passing her that she doesn't like, or people or villains always making unnecessary like rape or SA threats towards her, which was really weird and uncomfortable throughout the entire book. Like it's like Aster couldn't find any other way to make it clear that those are really, really bad guys, so we have to throw like random rape threats in there. It felt really uncomfortable. Okay, okay. I think I'm done. Also, my voice is going. I think I'm pretty hoarse at this point. But this has been 2 hours of me just being angry. I'm so angry at this book. It like, don't buy this book. Do not read this book. Do not support this book. This book embodies everything that's wrong and that I hate about current trends in the romantasy genre and in the publishing industry. This is a copy paste, lazily put together, badly written romantasy slob book. That's all it is. I do not care if this sounds mean. I I cannot give a shit at this point. I hate that it's books like this are being pushed out into the algorithm, that are being picked up, that are being praised, that get all the 5-star reviews. And no, don't. Don't. You deserve better books. People who read all this popular romantasy stuff, people who enjoy romantasy, just readers in general, you deserve better books. The publishers do not even care enough to proofread this shit. Do I have to remind you? The word centennial is literally used in this book. No one caught it. It did not get edited. It's in the finished product. That's how much they do not care, how they do not value you as a consumer, as a reader. Don't give them the satisfaction of buying this shit and then praising it. It's not good. And I don't care that you read this for like turning your brain off or whatever. I don't care. We don't need shit like this. We don't. There's actual real good romantasy and fantasy stuff and romance stuff out there. There's so many other underrated authors that's actually really good, doesn't get pushed as much. And shit like this is getting pushed. Shit like this is becoming popular. And it doesn't deserve it. It's so lazy. The publisher cannot even be bothered to look at the first draft manuscripts that are being sent before they print it and hand it to you, and then they want you to pay 50, 60 quid for like a super duper cool illustrious special edition. Don't. Just fucking don't. I hate this book. This might actually be the worst thing I've ever read, just because I hate everything it stands for. I'm so mad. I'm so unbelievably mad. And I'm just tired. I'm tired. I'm tired and I'm gonna end the video now. So yeah, that's it. This did end up being over 2 hours long. Oh, brilliant. I think this is gonna be a series, by the way. Like, according to Goodreads, it does say like Starside #1. #1 New York Times bestseller, 4.36 fucking stars on Goodreads. And I forced myself through this voluntarily for some reason, because I was just fascinated by how stupid this was. I had to keep going because I was like, it can't possibly get any worse. And then it did. No, it can always get worse, apparently. So, yeah, that's me. I'm tired, I'm angry, I'm gonna stop now and go look at some happy stuff and read books I actually enjoy. Thank you for watching this and for making it all the way through this very unstructured, angry rant. If you have read this book or have heard of it or anything, please do tell me down in the comments below what your thoughts are on this. If you hate this book just as much, you can also, if you managed to watch all this entire review and you like the book, well, thank you for actually watching my stuff. Obviously, please feel free to tell me why you might actually enjoy this book. I will not understand you. I will not get why, but feel free to try and explain it to me, I guess. I'm just looking forward to seeing what you guys are saying down in the comments below. That's it for me. Thank you so much for watching. This was very exhausting. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you haven't done it already. Ring the bell and all that. Watch some other way too long book reviews that I've done on the channel. Thanks again, and I'll see all of you very soon. Goodbye.